It's about that time. Let's learn ourselves a new method for solving a system of equations. So in the last video, you guys watched how to solve a substitution using the substitution method. I'm now going to show you what is called the elimination method. And it's one of the nice parts of math, one of the few times where they give us a name or something that actually makes sense or we can connect it to something. We call it the elimination method because what we're trying to do is eliminate one of the variables. Now, in this given system, again, a system is where we have two equations as opposed to one. We're dealing with multiple variables, x and y. We're looking for what value for x and y would make both of these equations come out to equal 32 and 3 to make them a true equation. So we need to find what that value is. Now, all the time I have kids that want to start off and they want to just say, well, I'll just guess and check and I can think about numbers times 4 and a number times 6 that will give me a 32. Feel free to do that if you want to. If you want to sit down, guess and check for hours on end with, some of the easier ones, you'll be fine. You'll be able to get it. But when they get trickier, it will make it more difficult for you to figure out what those values are. Now, it's important that you know this method so you can just do algebra to get the results and give your result, your answer on a test and get the right points that you deserve. So first and foremost, you're going to look at these two equations in the system and you're going to ask yourself question number 1. Do I have a match anywhere? Do I have the same value attached to the same variable? And if you look at these two, it's very clear that I have a 6y and a negative 6y. So there is my match. Now that won't always be the case. So if you check another video, I'll show you what to do in a situation where you don't have a match. But here we do. So life is good. We can get started right away. And what we're going to do is we're simply going to ask ourselves, if I have a positive 6 and a negative 6, what operation do I need to do to combine them and make a 0? Because 0 would cancel something out. 0 is equal to null, nothing. And the correct answer is you want to add. You want to take 6 plus a negative 6 to cancel. Now what that would make is just a 0. No need to write a 0 there. We know that it's nothing. I just like to put a line through it and say we've taken care of them. We have eliminated them. Okay, consider yourself Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's been terminated. 4x plus 3x. You're adding straight down now. 4 plus 3 is going to give you a grand total of 7x. Over on the other side, you're going to have a 32. You have a 2. You're going to add them together. I like to tell my students to use the trick of pointing in a triangle. Don't forget to go over here and check it because sometimes we're going to need to subtract. You want to make sure you're doing the right operation. So here's your triangle. Boom, boom, boom. 32 plus 3 gives me 35. 7x equals 35. We're one step away. Just like in our multi-step equations videos, you've learned to use inverse operations. 7 times x. So we're going to do the opposite or the inverse of multiplication. We are going to divide. We divide by 7. We divide by 7. X is equal to whatever 35 divided by 7 is. And we all know that that is 5. Thank you to our 3rd and 4th grade math teachers for teaching us this stuff because it comes in handy where we don't have to keep typing it onto a calculator all the time. Okay, we now know that x equals 5 is one part to our solution, excuse me. I'm going to take that 5 and I'm going to plug it into one of these equations. Okay, you can choose either the top or the bottom. It is your choice. I personally am not a fan of negatives. I try to avoid them if I can. So I would recommend the same to you because if you don't like negatives or they seem trickier than positives, which I would beg to differ, there's nobody in the world that says negatives are easier than positives to work with, avoid them. Go to the top equation because everything you see is a positive value. So I'm going to rewrite this equation now, but instead of an x, I'm going to place a 5 in parentheses and multiply that out. So here we go, 4 parentheses instead of x, plug in the 5, plus 6y equals 32. And we now have an equation with only one variable in it. So now what I am allowed to do is solve. I can multiply and use inverse operation to get what my y value is. Once I have my x and my y, I have my solution to the system. 4 times 5 is going to give me a grand total of 20. Nothing else changes. Put the line down the middle so you know how to separate left and right. Keep things balanced. I'm going to subtract 20. This is sometimes a tricky part for students, is they wonder why I'm subtracting. What type of value is that? That is a positive 20. Okay, there's nothing saying negative in front of it. So due to the fact that it's a positive value, the inverse or the opposite is a negative, which would show up as subtraction. That is what will cancel. You're going to do that to the other side, providing you with a 12 equals 6y. Our last and final step, we have multiplication happening between the 6 and the y. Again, just like back here, we are going to divide by 6 to cancel. Y is equal to 12 divided by 6, which is 2. We now have an x value, we have a y value, we have a solution. 5 comes first, 2 comes next, because this is an x, y coordinate. Congratulations, you made it to the end of your very first elimination method problem in a system of equations. Okay, that is one of 3 methods that you need to be prepared to use in algebra. Well done. If you check my other videos, you'll see the graphing method, my personal favorite, and the substitution method, which is more to me like a puzzle. I kind of teach it as the sticker method. So if you're struggling with that, please check into that video. It should help you out quite a bit. But good luck. You guys are very, very smart, and you're going to do great on your upcoming tests. Keep it up.